Hello Explorer and welcome to this tutorial. I'm Aline, Skinwalker, the knitwear designer behind Skinwalker Knits. In this tutorial I'm going to give you a quick tour of the Jemwald cowl. So this cowl that you can see on the table is inspired by the French region of Jura. Jura is in the east of France. And it's a region that has a lot of forests, a lot of waterfalls, a lot of streams. It's very mossy, and there's a lot of vegetation. And the geology of the region is also very interesting. I always find geology very fascinating. So this cowl is inspired by all the vegetation that I saw in Jura. So it uses a wide stitch pattern. The stitch pattern goes from here to here, or here to here. And it repeats across the cowl, of course. So the pattern uses a sort of branch or fern-like lace right here, and it has also those shaped decreases. They almost look like flat cables, but they are not cables. And they create, winding streams that go across the cowl, and this is really fun to do. So both are lace patterns. You can see the yarn over if I put my hand under one layer of the cowl. And what I did is combine these two lace patterns horizontally so that you have a lot of variation going on across the round. To separate the two lace patterns, I used some columns of twisted knits. So this column here and some pearls in between. So if you look at the wrong sides, of course you have the reverse. You have two columns of knits and one column of pearl right here. And there's also a pearl column that is going in the middle of this lace pattern here. And of course, on the wrong side, it creates a column of knits. So this is really fun to work because you have a lot of variation when you go across the rounds, and it changes every round. The cowl starts, of course, with a cast on. I always use an elastic cast on because we are using lace, and the cast on has to be sort of elastic. And after that, I'm using a very, very small edging. This is just 2 rows. The edging is repeated at the end, also 2 rows. And this is to prevent the cowl edges from rolling, because if you go directly into stockinette, then the edges will roll. The top of the cowl is using the same edging, and then I finish the cowl with an elastic bind off, because same as the cast on, it's lace, so it's going to grow, so your bind off needs to be elastic. And both edgings have small peaks that you create when you block the cowl. In the pattern, you can see the pictures of how I block the cowl. So you can see exactly where I placed the pins that I used when blocking. Both layers are pinned together and they are symmetric, so all the peaks are symmetric on the top of the cowl and the bottom of the cowl when you block it. Next to that, I also included tutorials in the pattern to show you how to work the stitches, of course, how to work the bind off here, the bind off, the cast on, and any tip that might be necessary or might be useful for working the pattern. There is also a tutorial about working from charts. If you would like to try using charts, you can do that and you can watch the tutorial and that will help you hopefully. But of course you can, need from written instructions, and this is totally fine, no problem. I love charts because I'm a very visual person, but the written instructions are also there for you if you want to use them, so please do so. So this cowl uses a few fun reversible stitches, like, twisted knits that will create a pearl on the other side, and here pearl columns. That's fun to do. Let me see what else. Since the cowl uses a wide stitch pattern, there is also a tutorial to show you how to adjust a wide stitch pattern if you want to. I strive to create patterns that are customizable so that you can make, the widths across and the height that you want for your project, either because you need a different size or either because you have more or less yarn, and that's totally fine. And the pattern gives some tips for how to customize the project so that you can do that. And there's also a tutorial to show you some tips and tricks on how to work a wide stitch pattern like this one, and possibly to customize it if you want to customize it. In a nutshell, if you want to, not use a full stitch pattern, repeat, because then the cowl will be either too small or too large, you can use portions of that stitch pattern. So, for example, you might want to repeat only the branch and fern section, which would be this one, and add some columns in between if you want to, and if you don't want to, you can just, add one pearl and then continue working this pattern. Or, of course, you can repeat this one. But then the choice is yours, and then you can, really adjust the project to your needs and to your yarn, or how much yarn you have or do not have, because that happens. If you are customizing the pattern, or maybe if you're not even customizing the pattern, but if you are using a different yarn, for example, I would suggest you to weigh the yarn as you go. So at the beginning and then after each repeat, you can weigh how much yarn you still have, and you can use that to make estimations of how far the yarn will bring you, how many repeats of a given pattern you can work or not. But then that gives you option to, adjust the pattern as you want. One more tip about this is if you are not totally sure about yarn consumption and you are wondering if you're going to have enough yarn to finish the project, Use a lifeline at a safe spot so that you can always go back to that lifeline and finish the project with the yarn you have. So that's always helpful to use as a trick. So this was a quick tour of the Jemwald cowl. If you have questions, of course, feel free to send them to me. I'll do my best to help you and solve a problem that you might have with, working something specific in the cowl. Make sure to watch the tutorials because they are there ready to help you, and I do my best to write the pattern as clearly as possible and to include extra materials so that you don't have to guess what I did to work this cowl. But, if there is still something that's not clear for you or you have questions about, yarn or something like that, you can send them to me and I'll try my best to help. So this was a quick tour of the Jemwald cowl. I hope you're going to enjoy knitting this cowl. I found it really fun to work. And it was quick too because this specific cowl is worked with a worsted weight yarn. But of course, you can choose something else, thicker, thinner. You can choose something that is appropriate for your climate. So you're free to make the cowl your own, and please send me pictures of your work in progress and of your finished projects. I'd love to see that. So this was a quick tour. As I said, thanks for joining and enjoy knitting and have fun. See you next time. Bye.